Hello, welcome to my channel, and welcome to the Alien 3 review. That's what we're doing today. If y'all been following this channel for a minute, y'all been watching some of my more recent videos, y'all know I did Terminator 1 and 2 last week, and then the week before that I did Alien and Aliens. So now, we're switching gears back into the fucking Alien movies. We're talking about Alien 3 today. Specifically, Alien 3, the assembly cut, or the special edition as it's labeled on the on Prime. But I'm pretty sure it's the same copy of the movie, the special edition, as it's compared to the actual assembly cut. It's just cleaned up more. The visuals look a little bit better. I believe some of the voice work was redone to make it sound a little bit more cleaner. It doesn't really bother me all that much. It doesn't really affect the quality of the movie at all. It's mostly just an improvement. It's very nice. It does differ from the theatrical cut, and then it adds about 30 minutes of footage. It expands on some of the side characters' roles in the movie, and it changes up a few scenes to give them like alternate sort of outcomes compared to the theatrical version. I did not watch the theatrical version for this sit down of this review because I don't really like the theatrical version, and we'll get into why here in a minute. But if you're watching this review, just know that this is for the special edition. So there are certain things that are confusing. You're like, oh shit, that's something inconsistent. It's because I'm not talking about the theatrical cut. So there you go. Excuse me. So yeah, we're going to be getting into that, and then on Friday, we're going to be coming out with the Alien Resurrection review, aka Alien 4. But I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself just a little bit, so let's get into this shit. Let's talk about Alien 3. We start off with the opening title sequence, where every main character but Ripley appears to be killed off by a facehugger that somehow managed to climb aboard the USS Sulaco, the escape pod from the previous movie from Aliens. I guess Ripley didn't look hard enough after killing that Queen Alien from the last movie. Whoopsie. Because, yeah, somehow a facehugger got on board, and we don't really know how. I don't think it's ever revealed exactly how, but somehow it fucking did from the last movie. It's a scene that I really don't like. Every character that we've seen that managed to survive the last film, Bishop, Newt, and I believe it's either Hicks or Hudson. I'm not 100% sure. I think it is Hicks. All of them were killed off before the opening credits is even over. And I think the person who played Hicks, he described it as a slap in the face to have their characters all killed off like that, and I think that's a pretty apt description of it. It does kind of feel like a slap in the face, considering all the fucking effort that just went into getting them all saved in the last movie. It pisses me off. It's just not I'm particularly a fan of. Nobody I know who's seen this movie really likes that change. It just sucks. Newt is a character Newt, Bishop, Hicks, they're all characters that we got to know and love. And we got to know them really fucking well. And we were rooting for them at the end of Aliens. We wanted to see more of them. We didn't really want to see them all get killed off in the fucking beginning. So, it leaves a pretty sour taste in one's mouth as you're beginning to watch this fucking movie. It's just as fucking awful watching the theatrical cut or the special edition. It's the exact same scene. I don't know. It's just not very fucking pleasant. Ripley is found by the inhabitants of Fiorina 161, the prison planet that she now finds herself stranded on. She's introduced to Clemens, the prison's chief medical officer. Clemens informs her that her presence might be unwelcome, considering that she has landed on a prison planet filled with only males who have all taken a vow of celibacy and ingratiated themselves into a fundamentalist religion, as the movie describes it. It's they say in the movie that it's like some sort of offshoot of Christianity that's become even more fundamentalist, if you can believe it somehow. I'm not 100% sure exactly what they're referring to, but all the prisoners do seem to believe in one God, and they do seem to believe in God, obviously. the religion aspect of it is not like crazy focused on. I mean, I guess it kind of is. Yeah, I don't know what I'm saying there. It is focused on a good chunk throughout the movie. It is kind of an interesting angle that they choose to take with it. It's bizarre, but it is kind of interesting. Ripley then asks to see Newt and examine her body more closely, and insists upon doing an autopsy as well as cremating both bodies. That being Hicks as well, who doesn't receive an autopsy. Ripley is then asked why she wishes to perform the autopsy, and she uses the clearly bullshit cover story that she is looking for cholera. She's not. As the reason why. When in fact we all know, I mean, she's looking for the fucking xenomorph embryo. That's what she suspects has happened. The funeral then proceeds ahead with the ceremony for both Newt and Hicks as they are being cremated. Around this time, an ox, or a dog, is being brought into the prison. It's a dog if you're watching the theatrical cut, but if you're watching the special edition, it's an ox for some reason. I'm not sure why they changed it, but I do say I like that. I will say I do like that change a little bit more. I like that it's an ox instead of a dog. It doesn't really matter too much. This is the first movie in the series to introduce the idea that a xenomorph can have a facehugger come into an animal's body and come chest bursts out of a fucking animal. And the xenomorph in this movie, it actually adopts the traits of its host, just as the xenomorphs did in the previous movies. So in the previous movies, you saw xenomorphs that would burst out of humans, and they would be bipedal. They would be walking around on two legs, and occasionally getting down to on all fours. But it seems like their main mode of transportation was to walk around on 2 feet, and act sort of similar to humans in some ways. And the xenomorph in this movie, it runs around on all fours like a dog, or like an animal. I guess like an ox as well. I'm not, whatever. It's kind of an interesting change. I guess it's a welcome change. I don't really hate it. It's nice to spice up the ride a little bit, to see something a little bit different. And the xenomorph in this movie, it looks okay. It's animated using a combination of CG and practical effects. There are certain shots where they use CG, and there are certain shots where they do use practical effects. The CG in the movie does not look particularly amazing. It looks kind of rough around the edges, especially for, I believe, 1992. It doesn't look crazy good. It doesn't look awful, but it's not something that I would really praise. So it is what it is there. Fucking dry mouth. One of the inmates during that ox scene, they pick up a facehugger, the facehugger that killed the fucking ox, and he picks up and he says, "Hey, what's this?" Without really thinking about what he's doing, in my opinion. So he just sort of picks it up and he doesn't realize that, oh, this thing is not from this planet. This is clearly an alien fucking creature that I've never seen before. But I guess that thought just doesn't occur to him. I thought that was kind of funny, but, whatever. Ripley goes searching for the damaged bishop, and when she finds him, she brings him into the prison to interrogate him about what actually happened on the escape pod while she was asleep, but not before getting jumped by a number of the inmates who then attempt to gang rape her. It's a little bit brutal, for sure. It's a little bit uncomfortable to watch, that gang rape scene. And they don't actually rape her, but they sure do try for a minute. She is saved by their leader, Dylan, and manages to make her escape and talk to Bishop. Bishop then proceeds to inform her of the facehugger that was on board, and that it was in fact what caused the ship to crash in the first place, and that the company had knowledge of its existence somehow. I'm not 100% sure how they knew. I think it's implied that it's because Bishop was monitoring the ship that they knew through him somehow. I'm not 100% certain how exactly the company knew, but it does seem like they had knowledge of it somehow. The xenomorph then seems to grow to adult size just as quickly as the alien did from the first movie, and manages to take out 3 of the inmates, leaving one of them, Golik, to be traumatized, and for the rest of the prison to call him crazy for the time being when he comes back claiming to have seen a dragon. So he sees the xenomorph kill 2 other people right in front of him, and for some reason he thinks the xenomorph is a dragon. I guess because he's never seen it, I guess. So, yeah. Ripley then informs the prisoners about the xenomorph and learns that the plan is to simply wait for the company to send a rescue mission, considering the prison has no weapons of its own. It's another interesting twist about this movie, as opposed to the last movie and the first movie. There are no guns or really any traditional like military sort of weapons on the prison planet that she's on, because they don't want to give weapons to prisoners. They don't want to, have them start a fucking prison riot and break out. It makes sense, but it does make the problem of dealing with a fucking xenomorph a lot more difficult, because, I mean, the bullets won't kill it anyways. You need fire to kill a fucking xenomorph, but it's, it would be nice to fucking wound it with a goddamn gun. For sure. The xenomorph manages to corner both Clemens and Ripley in the infirmary, and proceeds to kill Clemens, but mysteriously leaves Ripley alone. More on that later. Ripley proceeds to warn the prisoners once again about the alien, and the warden himself is killed right after calling her crazy in front of the entire cafeteria full of people. It's a scene that's honestly pretty fucking satisfying to watch, because up until this point, I know I haven't really discussed it too much, but the warden, he's just been kind of an uptight asshole throughout the entire movie, so that's why I didn't really feel the need to comment on him too much. But he's just like a typical fucking over-the-top just jerk throughout the entire movie. He doesn't really listen to what Clemens is trying to tell him. He doesn't really listen to what Ripley is trying to tell him at all. And it's pretty satisfying to see a character like that just fucking get it from the alien. Yeah. So there you go. With Aaron's help, Ripley is able to board the crash escape pod from earlier and use the medical scanner device to give herself a CAT scan, where she learns, to her horror, that she is now carrying a queen alien, or a queen xenomorph, inside of her. And that is the reason that the other alien wouldn't touch her, or wouldn't do anything to her, because it knew, somehow, maybe it's telepathically or some shit, maybe it's a smell, not really reveal to us how the alien knows, but it does seem to somehow know that she's carrying a queen embryo. Ripley begs Dylan to kill her, as this is the only way she can ensure that the queen inside her dies for good, and he refuses after faking her out for a moment and informs her that he doesn't have a fucking death wish himself, because he realizes, of course, that if he kills Ripley, then he still has to deal with the alien, as does everyone else. He agrees to kill her only if Ripley helps kill the alien first, and she agrees. They both go about laying a trap with the remaining prisoners and manage to trap the alien in a molten steel trap before Dylan decides to sacrifice himself with the alien. The alien still somehow manages to escape, but Ripley is able to kill it anyways with a fire sprinkler system. And that's how they're able to kill the alien in the fucking movie. Weyland-Yutani and their team finally arrive on the scene with someone who resembles Bishop from earlier. We learn that this man is supposedly the human model for Bishop, and that he is a high-level executive for the company. This person seems far more evil than Bishop was, however, and it's fairly obvious that what the company wants at this point, that fucking queen embryo inside of Ripley, the one that's still in her chest at the moment. He offers her the option of allowing her to come back with him and surgically remove the alien from her, promising to destroy it. Thankfully, Ripley is not a complete fucking idiot, and she sees right through what he's trying to tell her, and she steps onto a platform where one of the other prisoners named Morse, he manages to move the platform out of the way over a gigantic furnace, all while taking fire from the Weyland-Yutani fucking goons that the human Bishop brought along with them. The human Bishop then pleads with Ripley to stop, asking her to think of the implications of what she's doing, and telling her that he could research the xenomorph for his own purposes, and still attempted to convince her to, he's finally taking the fucking mask off and revealing what his actual intentions and motivations are, But Ripley isn't having any of that shit. She decides to throw herself off the platform, her back to the furnace, and right as the alien decides to burst out of her chest, and she holds it close as she falls into the furnace, effectively killing both of them for good. The movie ends with Morse being taken out of the prison, the last remaining prisoner, as Ripley's original final transmission from the Nostromo is played for whatever reason. I'm not 100% sure why they did that. I think it was supposed to be because Alien 3 was originally supposed to be the end of the franchise, but I've kind of already spoiled that. We're covering the 4th movie next review. It's obviously not the end of the fucking franchise. I think there's no fucking spoilers there. And honestly, if this movie had been the end of the franchise, it would have been a pretty bad fucking ending overall. At least the theatrical cut. I don't think it would have. I think if they had just decided to never make another Alien movie after that point, people could at least say, oh, it's like, oh well, at least the first 2 movies were good, and Alien 3 is fucking there. It exists. Whatever. I tend to be a little less harsh on the movie these days. It does do a lot of things that piss me off. I really hate that they killed off most of the characters that survived Aliens. I don't really understand that fucking decision. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But I like the new Xenomorph. I like the prisoners that are on Fiorino 161. I like Ripley. I like her new look. I don't really comment on it too much, but she decides to shave her head throughout the movie, or like right after she does the autopsy scene with Newt. She decides to shave her head and look completely like a prisoner, basically, like a male prisoner. I kind of dig the change. A lot of people don't like it. Doesn't really bother me too much. It is kind of rough to sit through because the movie definitely pulls on your heartstrings, especially early on throughout the movie. There's the scene where she talks to the revised bishop is probably my favorite scene in the entire movie, just because it's interesting to see her talking to an old friend, but she's forced to not really make any small talk with him or talk about anything besides what's going on in the plot. She's just trying to figure out what actually happened on that fucking escape pod. It's not a movie that I revisit a whole lot. I sit down and I watch it every once in a while just to see if it's aged better, and honestly it does get a little bit better every time I do watch it. I respect a lot of the choices that were made, but it's also kind of difficult to like. It's so difficult to like, in fact, that the director, David Fincher, has since disowned the project, and he did not come back to direct the assembly cut. It was simply made using his notes, but he did not help with that process at all. He doesn't want anything to do with the movie, and I can definitely understand why it leaves a sour taste in some people's mouths. So, just to end off this review, I'm going to give my rating for the movie. I would give it a 6 out of 10. I would say, going off memory, I'd probably give the theatrical version a 5 out of 10. But I'm just going off memory there. I didn't actually fucking rewatch the theatrical version. I really don't have much interest in doing so. But that's, so if you want to consider that unfair, fine, whatever. I've seen the theatrical cut multiple times. I remember what it's like. It's really not crazy fucking different from the assembly cut. The assembly cut just has more footage, and it's a little bit more polished, and they change a few aspects of the plot for the better. And I think the assembly cut is the superior version to watch. If you're gonna go sit down and watch that movie, don't bother with the theatrical cut. It's just, you're gonna hate it. You're not gonna fucking like it, I promise you. Especially if you're a big fan of Aliens. And if you do like it, comment down there why. I'd love to hear why you enjoy the theatrical cut over the assembly cut. Maybe there's an argument to be made that I just haven't heard yet. But that's it. That's my review for Alien 3. Y'all can join me on Friday for the review of Alien motherfucking Resurrection, Alien 4. And remember, as I always say, the world is in your hands. Grab that motherfucker like that. Peace.